Hi, I'm John Holland, the Public Information Officer for the Oshkosh Fire Department.
So today we're talking alcohol poisoning. Can you give us a little information on that?
Alcohol poisoning is a very, very serious thing. It's worse than getting drunk, obviously. It is actually the third leading cause of accidental death in the United States. Preventable accidental death. The first one obviously would be smoking, and then there's inactivity or obesity, and then alcohol poisoning is number 3. 6 people a day die from alcohol poisoning in the United States. So it is something that people kind of laugh about, and they think, well, I've had too much, this is funny. Not at all. It's not funny, it's a very serious thing. It can lead to seizures, coma, and we just talked about, even death.
So can you give us some tips on pacing yourself, knowing your limits, especially on some holidays like International Beer Day that's coming up?
Let's say it's International Beer Day, which I just learned about. International Beer Day, or any holiday where you drink, and it doesn't necessarily need to be a holiday. First of all, drink in moderation or not at all. Some tips: if you really have to drink and know you're going to drink a lot, know your limits, don't go over your limits. A good thing to do is have a glass of water in between each drink. Don't drink on an empty stomach. A lot of people think that the alcohol, don't drink on an empty stomach. A lot of people think the food will absorb the alcohol, and that's not true at all. What happens though, the food will slow down the absorption of alcohol. With that empty stomach, the alcohol gets into your system much faster. So take your time. Have a drink of water between each one, and make sure you have a little food in your system before you drink.
All right, so what are some signs and symptoms that you would expect if someone had alcohol poisoning?
For alcohol poisoning, the symptoms are very similar to obviously just being drunk, but it is much more severe. You will get the slurred speech, you will get the lack of coordination. Also, they will start to seize. If they're starting to have a seizure, that is a big deal. That you call 911. They'll be cold, clammy, and a big one is they will pass out and you can't wake them up. If that happens, you need to call 911 right away.
Is there anything that someone should do if they already did call 911 while they're waiting for someone to show up?
Once you call 911, stay with that person. You should always have somebody stay with them, and turn them on their side in case they do throw up, so they don't choke on their own vomit. That does happen. It has happened to many famous people. That's how they have died. But if you keep them on their side, everything will just keep coming out and it won't go back down your throat.
So what do you do, or what does an EMT do once they arrive and they see someone that has alcohol poisoning?
When we show up, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to give them IV fluids. Obviously they are getting dehydrated, and the next thing we will do is we will breathe for them. We will hook them up to some oxygen, get some oxygen going, and then obviously get them to the hospital as fast as we can. Once they get to the hospital, in the emergency department, they will more than likely pump their stomach and empty that stomach out, get the alcohol out as fast as they can.
Are there certain age groups that you see abusing their limits more than others?
There are actually certain age groups that abuse their limits more than others, and it's a surprising one. Most people think it is college-age young adults, and that is not it at all. It is middle-aged men, and like 35 to 64, and a big part of that is they will mix alcohol with prescription medication, and most of them not intentionally, but it will still happen. And as you know, most prescription meds, side effect is drowsiness, and so you're putting a depressant, alcohol, on top of another depressant, and things get bad fast. In fact, all the alcohol poisoning, going back to the men thing, 75% of the people who get alcohol poisoning are men. So guys, smart now.